Thank you very much, Madam Chair. If you will allow me to greet my colleague Minister and the Member of Parliament, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice and Head of TIP. May I also acknowledge ACP Clifford Chambers and his team from CTOC, other members of staff from the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of National Security, and ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, but I hope I'll be forgiven if I single out a lady who used to be my neighbor from St. Mary. I haven't seen her in a while, Minister, and I'm seeing her now. She was a lady that whatever she has become in life, I am responsible. I was responsible for her discipline. Right, Mrs. Guy Walker? Anyway, today's handing over marks an important step in the government's strategies to deal with the trafficking in persons, as an example of the coordinated approaches being employed to strengthen the prevention of trafficking in human beings and the fight against it. With the acquisition of this bus, victims of human trafficking will now have a temporary, safe, secure and suitable mobile unit to transport them to safer shelter from locations where they are being abused. Covert by nature, human trafficking is difficult for the government alone to tackle and can easily go unnoticed. We know what the contributing factors are to the spread of human trafficking activities. Poverty, that's why we believe in prosperity, scarce employment opportunities, and vulnerability. This government and the Ministry of National Security and other stakeholders collaboratively reject human trafficking as a violation of the fundamental right to freedom and security of the person. That is why we have been working together to ensure we arrest this scourge in every way possible. In this regard, the government has established a fairly solid legal and normative framework. Since 2003, Jamaica has been a signatory to the UN Palmyra Protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking in persons, especially women and children. This is supported by the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. And since then, the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Anti-Trafficking in Persons Unit was created and has been upgraded to include vice components such as immoral crimes, prostitution, and illegal gambling. Since the enactment of the Trafficking in Persons Act, amendments have been undertaken through the collaborative efforts between the JCF and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and several convictions have been made. In 2016, we established two new standard operating procedures to proactively identify trafficking victims. The Victim Protection Protocol, for example, provides guidelines for the protection and support of the victims. It also provides a framework that will bring the government of Jamaica in compliance with the TIP Act and its international obligations. I am also pleased with the efforts of the Anti-TIP Unit, which has launched Operation Uplift, aimed at strengthening the fight against trafficking in persons. The Trafficking in Persons Care Shelter continues to be in operation, offering care and to provide critical services such as primary health care and psychosocial support and care to promote proper mental health and the well-being of the victims. Within the ministry's five-pillar strategy, the issue of trafficking in persons is adequately treated under the effective policing pillar. In pursuit of our goal to make Jamaica more secure for its citizens and visitors, it is within this framework that we consider the implementation of Jamaica's National Plan of Action and the multi-agency approach to enhancing national security and to develop the capacity to implement Jamaica's legislative, institutional, and operational structures. I am indeed pleased with the work being undertaken by the National Task Force, led, of course, by our Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Carol Palmer, which has placed the emphasis not only on prevention and suppression of trafficking in persons, but also on the protection and provision of assistance to the victims. This handover ceremony today of this 2017 Toyota 16-seater bus at a cost of just under $6 million falls squarely into the latter. And it would be remiss of me, Minister Chuck, if I don't ask for another bus for the JCF. Because as everybody knows, and Mr. Chambers will back me, that the Jamaica Constabulary Force is short on vehicles. And although we are received 30 of the 200, we still need more. So Minister Chuck, I don't know where you got this bus, but same place where you got it, we're going to ask you to get another one, or maybe two, since we're in the time of prosperity. With all these efforts, I note that Jamaica has been upgraded to Tier 2 from Tier 2 watch list in the U.S. Department of State 2016 Trafficking in Persons report, which highlighted the government's increased efforts to investigate, prosecute, and convict traffickers. And I must pause again to highlight the work of Ms. Palmer and her team and to offer heartiest congratulations. But Ms. Palmer, you are well aware that the work has just begun. And we expect more improvement on the watch list. Because we are Jamaican, we have to be number one. We have to be at the top. I also implore all our law-abiding citizens to be wise, open your eyes, stop them, spot them, and stop them. I got it right. Also, I encourage all of us to use the Stay Alert app to report any suspicious incidents. I want to thank all the stakeholders involved and to encourage us to continue to work together around the key issues of prosecution, protection, and prevention, and thereby build a Jamaica that is safe and secure, stable, and just for all. Thank you very much.